If you're in CI, helping probably feels second nature. But here's the hard question. Is your helping actually helping? Today, we're continuing our Change Shaper series with a really difficult one, helping with intention. Welcome to Thoughts on Change, the podcast about the messy, political, emotional, deeply human side of leading change. I'm Kelly, and I believe anyone can implement lean tools until they actually have to get people to use them. Around here, we talk about how to move culture, how to build credibility, and how to influence without bulldozing. Basically, how to herd humans without losing your mind. As CI warriors, we are constantly working to get our help used. So it is going to feel really wrong when I say that you might be overhelping, and that might be hurting you. A large part of our roles in CI are to help people. It is probably a piece of the role that drew you to this in the first place. But there is a fine line between your help being helpful and your help being hurtful. Let me share a situation that happened with a woman I once worked with. She is a CI specialist and was working with two teams on building quality circles. Quality circles are basically problem-solving huddles focused on a specific defect. Now, to get these circles started, she was doing a lot of the work. This made sense because it was a new practice for the organization and she needed to help demonstrate how they should go. And in this early phase, her doing was helpful. It helped kickstart the team and close some knowledge gaps. Now, fast forward another month, though, and the teams are still highly dependent on her doing the work, scheduling the meetings, telling them what the next step in their problem solving should be, collecting and compiling data. Now, at this point, she has crossed over from her help being helpful to her help being hurtful. This was the point where we started working together, and we quickly identified that she had passed over this line. Together, we worked on strategies for her to step back and give the team the help they really needed: accountability to doing the work themselves and problem-solving coaching. When she was past that helpful line, in addition to the teams not learning and growing, she was burning out from all of the effort she put in, despite not getting any results. This is a perfect example of how overhelping leads to dependency, which leads to more work for you, which leads to you getting frustrated with them because they aren't doing their part, which leads to frustration from them because they see your frustration, which leads to more resistance, which leads to you burning out. It's a pretty vicious cycle. Hopefully, this helps you see that overhelping helps no one. Now, for the bad news. This line between helpful help and hurtful help will be in a different place for different people, different teams, and different organizations. So I'm sorry to say that there is no magic in finding it. But here is a good indication that you might be past it. Can you no longer justify their dependence on you doing the work because of knowledge or skill gaps? Are you getting frustrated that you're still having to do something? So think about where you currently are in some work you were doing and ask yourself those questions. If you answer yes to either, you might be past the helpful line. But not to worry. Once you identify that you are past that line, it's not too hard to correct. This is where helping with intention really shines. Now, helping with intention means that you still help people succeed. After all, that's why we are in this line of work. But it is very specific in how you help. Helping with intention doesn't mean throwing your hands up and saying, "I can't help you anymore. You need to do it all yourself." It means being thoughtful about what help they actually need right now in order to progress their understanding and skills so they can be successful without you. Helping with intention builds capability, not reliance. So let's go back to that work you are currently doing where you are past the helpful line. We're going to walk you back across the line together. All right, do you have that piece of work in mind? Great. So, first, I want you to think about who's involved in this work. Who should be doing the work? Who should be scheduling the meetings? Who should be leading the team? All right, at this point, it's a good idea to confirm that your understanding of what they should be doing lines up with their understanding and with their leader's understanding. You don't want to assume this work is someone else's responsibility without fact checking this. So once you do that, the next thing you want to think about is where are they with respect to being able to flawlessly execute this work? Are they still learning some skills or knowledge? Are they at the point where they can do it, but they need help and guidance? Are they skilled enough that they need challenging to help push them to the next level? To help yourself see where they currently are, I find it helpful to imagine the ideal way this work would get done, including any key behaviors that are needed. Then you can compare what is happening currently with them with this reference of what great would look like. Next, you want to identify the thing they need to learn or get better at in order to move one step closer to that reference of what great would look like. And for my Kata friends and community out there, you might be noticing a pattern here. Okay, once you have identified that next area they need to work on, you can now think about how you need to support them so they can get there. Do they need more training? Do they need coaching? Do they need you to give them space to allow them to try and fail and learn? Set your intention with yourself and then tell them your intention. Do not keep this a secret. Remember, unspoken intentions lead to very bad things. And if you're confused about why I'm saying that, please go back to episode 5 of this podcast to learn about how that silent intent can really fork up your change efforts. Okay, now some of you might be feeling really good at this point and feeling confident that you can do this. And you're right, you can. Some of you, though, may be feeling more apprehensive and might be thinking, but what if they just don't do the work? Or will they still respect me and ask for my help if I stop helping them the way I am right now? The short answer is they may stop and they may not like it at first. But in the mid to long term, they will thank you. And one hard learning I had to grapple with is that setting a boundary on how you will help somebody actually builds respect and credibility. It does not erode it like I thought it would. This shift does require you sticking with it and being firm in that boundary. To help yourself, just keep reminding yourself that this is for them, that you are helping in this way because it will be the best for them in the long run. Easier said than done, I know. But remember a time when you had your biggest learning and development. Was it when someone else was doing all of the work for you? No, it was when you struggled and failed. This is where real learning and growth happens. Are you going to rob them of this? This is where asking questions is one of your most powerful support techniques. This is not passing the buck. In many situations, you giving answers quickly is the same as doing the work for them. If you ask a question instead of giving an answer, you are helping them become better thinkers, so in the future, they won't need to ask. Now, there is a fine line here to be careful of as well. I've got a lot of firsthand experience about when asking too many questions can really frustrate people. So watch their body language for when they hit a real knowledge threshold and when you need to switch from asking questions to teaching. Another really powerful support technique is staying silent and giving them time and space to think through what you have asked them. Try to not jump in too quickly after you asked your question. Allow them the space to think through it. This can be very difficult. You might get worried that they didn't understand the question you asked or that they're not sure what's happening. And if you're starting to worry about that, just ask them if they understood before plowing forward with a reframing of your question. To help you through these support techniques, here are some of my favorite questions to ask people when they ask me something. So there's always the classic, what problem are you trying to solve? But some other ones are, what do you already know about that? How might you go find that out? Who else might know more about this than you? And how can you test your understanding? There are many, many questions you can ask, and of course, they will depend on the situation, but these are the ones I find really helpful. So you are now equipped to make the shift from overhelping and hurting to providing help that grows the other person and will ensure their long-term success. I know that helping by fixing feels efficient, but at some point, you will become the bottleneck. And then no one wins. So now let's think back to your work and ask yourself, where am I stepping in too quickly? Who am I unintentionally training to depend on me? And what question could I ask instead of giving the answer? Helping with intention shifts you from hero to leader, and that's how change really sticks. Up next, we'll step into the third characteristic of change shapers, advocating for what is really important. See you next time. Most of the women I work with aren't struggling because they don't know what they're doing. They're struggling because their approach, despite their intent, isn't landing the way they think it is. That's exactly what we work on inside Credible, Heard, Used. If you're ready to look at your approach and change it, you'll find more information in the show notes. That's a wrap for this episode of Thoughts on Change. If you're also out there trying to move culture instead of just installing tools, hit subscribe and share this with a fellow CI warrior. And remember, progress beats perfection, curiosity beats control, and culture beats everything. See you next time.